In this video, let's again visit history. I just wanted to give you another story. Very interesting story of the Second World War. I want to tell you the story of the greatest spy of the 20th century, Richard Sorge. Very few people know about him, but he was a man who changed the course of Second World War single-handedly. So I start the story. Richard Sorge was a German born in Russia. He fought in the German army the First World War, but during that period he joined the Communist Party and in 1920s went to Moscow to get training as a spy. He became a spy of GRU, Russian Red Army Intelligence Branch, GRU. Richard Sorge in 1930, early 30s, was told by uh, Eichmann in Moscow to go to Tokyo, establish a spy network in Tokyo, and keep an eye on the intentions of the Japanese Empire. Tokyo in those days was a very conservative city. Foreigners could not move freely in Tokyo in those days. And establishing a spy network was a big challenge for Richard Sorge. So Richard Sorge was a German journalist. He was a German journalist. He wrote for German newspapers. So he went to Tokyo and established a spy network. Clausen, the radio operator, reached them uh, after a few months. Then there was Yugoslav also. Yugoslavian also, he was member of that spy network. There were two Japanese also. One was Osaki. Osaki was the secretary to the Japanese Prime Minister. Secretly, he was a communist and secretly hated the Japanese empire. Ideologically, he was opposed to the Japanese empire, so he joined the Communist Party and he was an important member of the spy network. So Richard Sorge was a journalist, German journalist. He would frequently go to the foreign embassy, especially the German embassy, and he was invited to most of the parties. And he was fond of beautiful women. He was a heavy thinker. So these were his two qualities. And he became very friendly to the German ambassador. In 1930s, Japan attacked China, and if you know history, there was Nanking massacre when Japanese army massacred 300,000 Japanese women and children. Simply bayoneted them, and there's still a movie you can see such a horrible thing that these people did to the Chinese. China was then a divided country. It was divided, and Japanese took advantage of that, attacked it, and brutally massacred people. So ultimately, they conquered Manchuria, and then in 1938, or something like that, they tried to enter Russia. They were checked by the Red Army. General Zhukov was the general who defeated them thoroughly. So let me show you the picture of Richard Sorge. This is Richard Sorge. This is the picture of Richard Sorge, 1940. So before the attack, Russian Altman in Moscow asked Richard Sorge to give them the strength of the Quantan army that was stationed in Manchuria. So Richard Sorge, he was the Saki was sent to the Japanese Prime Minister and gave him such a accurate information that later on Russians found out that divisions and all the figures were correct, almost correct. So this proved to the High Command in Moscow that the Richard Sorge is a very reliable spy, and the information provided by him is very reliable. Now, in those days, only way to convey message was through a radio transmission. Counterintelligence had developed methods to pinpoint radio transmission, but it was just like 2-3 mile radius within which they could, in those days, pinpoint that just 2 mile radius there's some radio operating. Colonel Osaki is the head of counterintelligence in Tokyo. He was called by the his superior and told him that we have got a lot of indication that there is a spy network operating in Tokyo and it is frequently making transmissions. It is your job to capture and utilize that spy network. I give you too much. If you know Japanese history, you know the samurai tradition demand that if you can't do a job, then you will have to commit harakiri. So Colonel Osaki knew that 2 months, if you can't do this job, after 2 months you will have to commit harakiri. Richard Sorge was a very clever man, so he would change his position for radio transmission. And ultimately, what he has done is he has bought a yacht on rent, and on the weekends he will arrange parties for the foreign embassy. Men, women, they will go there, party there, take their dance there. And in the basement, there was a transmitter, radio transmitter with the closet that transmit the messages to Moscow. And that yards will be 10, 20, 30 miles away at the Tokyo Bay. So he thought that Japanese counterintelligence would not be able to figure out from where the messages are going. But they ultimately had this knowledge that some activity is going on. And they had this suspicion, strong suspicion that a spy network is operating in Tokyo and it's providing information to some foreign power. Colonel Osaki made a list of, I don't know how did he do it, but first that list was something like 1,000 men, all foreigners that he suspected could have been spies. Then he reduced it. Ultimately, he reduced them to 10 people. And in those 10 people, the name of Richard Sorge was the top 5. I don't know which method he used, but somehow he did it. Now, he knew somehow that Richard Sorge was very much interested in beautiful women. So he launched an American-Japanese Koyumi. It was very beautiful Japanese girl. He told her that you have to become friends with Richard Sorge. We have to figure out what to do. So Koyumi started a friendship with Richard Sorge, and Sorge was very much impressed by it. He took her to the bar, and she. Now let's go back to Moscow. German army standing on the gates of Moscow. Luftwaffe is heavily bombing Moscow. This is somewhere like October of 1941. That year, General Winter, the famous Russian general. Russians say the famous Russian general is the General Winter. That year, General Winter came in full force. After 50 years, was such a heavy snowfall, such heavy winter, was so cold that it had broken all the records the last 50 years. General Winter was trying to protect Russians from the German onslaught. German soldiers were not properly clothed. Many were dying of frostbites. Most of them were freezing in their sleep. German tanks were cracking in their engines when the fuel got solidified, cracked the engine, trucks were cracking. Luftwaffe was heavily bombing Moscow, and general orders have been issued for the civilian population to evacuate Moscow. But Stalin made it clear that he will not evacuate Moscow. General Zhukov, he went to meet Stalin. General Zhukov is the greatest, in my opinion, general of Second World War. I'll make a video. Because Western authors simply don't mention him, but if you read history, you'll find out that it was General Zhukov, later Marshal Zhukov, who had defeated the Nazi army. First in Moscow, then in Stalingrad, then in Kursk, and ultimately it was Marshal Zhukov who had conquered Berlin. German army could not stand his attacks. I'll make a video on Marshal Zhukov also. He was from very humble origins. He was born in a poor farmer family. He was a great general. And I believe he was the best general of the Second World War. So Marshal Zhukov and then General went to meet Stalin. Stalin asked him to go personally and check out what was the position of the German army. So Zhukov goes in his staff car. After reaching the front line, he dismounts from the car and starts walking. And he walks and walks, and ultimately he's standing right in front of the German panzers taking position. And he knows that he's 20 kilometers away from Moscow. Standing there right in front of the German panzers, he knows their position, has proper inspection. He was a brave man, and he knows their position, and then he comes back and informs Stalin that German army is just 20 kilometers away from Moscow. At this point, message goes out to Richard Sorge from Stalin. Stalin code name is director. Message is we should find out the intention of the Japanese Empire, whether it wants to attack Russia or not. Hitler was insisting on the Japanese to attack the Russians from the backside also. So Stalin gave Richard Sorge this message. And I don't know how did Richard Sorge, most probably he had used Kosaki, and he had also used German ambassador. He found out that, oh, this is something very important. Japanese had top secret plan of attacking Pearl Harbor in December 1941. And this is October 1941. That Pearl Harbor is only going to 2, 3, 4, 5 people in Japan. I don't know how come Richard Sorge managed, but he managed to take that information. And in the evening, we called a party on the yacht and then we send the message. Japan, no attention to attack Russia. Japan to attack Pearl Harbor, December. This message reached Moscow. It was immediately put on the desk of Stalin. Stalin immediately read it and I sent a message back. Message read director, disband. You know, they should disband their spy network. And immediately ordered the 25 tank divisions that were stationed in Siberia to check the Japanese Quantum Army with the fresh troops to reach Moscow within 24 hours. So those 25 tank divisions reached Moscow in 24 hours on the railway station when the tanks were dismounting. They took their battle formations. Which speech was made by the Russian officer telling the soldiers about the importance of their mission. And from from the railway station, they attacked the German army that was advancing past Moscow. General Zhukov was the commander, and the attack was so furious that the German army just couldn't withstand it. And within a week, German army had lost, fallen back 200 kilometers away from Moscow. That was after that, German army never reached close to Moscow. And in those winters, there was extreme danger the German front will collapse. Such a furious attack by the German army by those 25 fresh tank divisions, the best tanks, Siberian tank divisions. It is how the tide of war was changed in Second World War. If Moscow had fallen, then it would have been the end of the Russian campaign for Germany. And the man who made that possible was Richard Sorge. You can see his photo here. So after giving the message, he had got the message in his pocket. And he goes, Kayumi is with him, and he tells her that why don't you come and spend the night with me? So he says, she says, oh, I have to inform my parents. They said, okay, let's inform my parents. In those days in Tokyo, there were telephone booths after some distance. So after talking with her, we took the slip of paper with the message and wrote and figured through them. So you just noted in our mind the position of where he was doing it. So on the nearest telephone booth, he stopped and told her, you go and inform the parents, I do not come tonight. So she went to the telephone booth and she called Colonel Osaki, told him that there was strong selfish people there. Now, as he was a German journalist, and he also had managed to become a member of the Nazi party, and his cover was very solid. So Japanese were afraid to lay their hands on him. So they need solid evidence. So Kamalosaki immediately reached the spot and retrieved those pieces of paper, and when they were joined, the whole message was liquidated. Immediately, Richard Sorge was arrested. And then the trial took place at Tokyo Central Prison. And ultimately, he was sentenced to death along with Saki, the Japanese Prime Minister, and other members of the gang. Richard Sorge famously said that it was I who had turned the tide of war in the Second World War. And this is true that this single man He was able to turn the tide of the Second World War. If he had not given the vital information to Stalin at that time, it would have been difficult for the Russians to save Moscow. I consider Richard Sorge to be the best spy of the 20th century. He was hanged in 1944 in the Soviet prison. I hope you like this.